Okay, I am at the 2012 Tennessee Spring Star Party here with Chuck, and Chuck is a NASA Solar System Ambassador.
That's right. It's a program through the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California of about 400 space educators nationwide. We're a volunteer group. We go out and do a variety of space education for the public, for schools, libraries. I do museums, and today we happen to be at Fall Creek Falls here in Tennessee with this Tennessee Star Party.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at some of these beautiful models here that you, well, let's first start off. I know that you and I were talking briefly about it, but tell us about this wonderful model here. Absolutely looks to scale too with everything.
It is to scale. This is the International Space Station. Pretty much the way it looks today with the vehicles that are up there on the space station today. Now below it I have a lot of other vehicles that have either visited the space station or you might recognize haven't visited the space station.
That's kind of where it started.
That's where it started, the Wright Flyer. But as you can see, this is to the same scale as my astronaut, standing here, 6-foot astronaut, on the football field. You can see the football yard line.
Excellent reference.
The space station is larger than football field. Each one of these modules that have been launched into space over the last 14 years are about the size of individual school buses. So if you imagine 10 school buses parked on the 50-yard line of a football field, that's the size of the home in space the astronauts are working in.
Wow.
The space shuttle is to the same scale. We have new vehicles that are being designed and developed today. This vehicle is called Dream Chaser. You can see it's a mini shuttle. It's more like a space taxi for 4 people versus the space shuttle, which was an 18-wheeler that could carry 8 people and a cargo, 40, 50-ton cargo behind it.
Interesting.
So we have 6 people on the space station today. In about a week and a half, we have a brand new commercial vehicle that's coming up to the space station. That's this one down here called SpaceX.
Ah, the SpaceX rocket.
This is SpaceX. The rocket itself is called Falcon 9, and the capsule that's going up is called the Dragon. This capsule is going to be carrying about a half a ton of cargo to the station, but this is a test flight. The goal of the test flight is just to station keep with the station. If it is able to do that, it has met its parameter for the particular flight. But NASA has agreed that if it meets those parameters successfully, they will allow it to come in and do the next set of tests, which was going to be on the next flight, and that includes actually docking with the space station. The astronauts will reach out, grab the capsule and with the robot arm, and they'll attach it to the space station, and then they'll be able to go inside the capsule in their shirt sleeve environment, take out the half a ton of material, and then they'll be able to put back about a half a ton's worth of material back into the capsule for the first time to be able to be recovered from space. The Russian vehicles, the Japanese vehicles, European vehicles are all destroyed as they come back to Earth, except of course for the manned vehicles. But all the cargo vehicles, they are not returned. This will be the first vehicle to return since the shuttle.
Excellent. Talk a little bit about this here. This is the Orion. I know I've heard about that. Haven't they had some recent vertical landing tests with that as well?
Certainly have. I believe in just the last 2 days they've done some parachute tests. This is of the style of the Apollo capsule from 40 years ago, but on a much larger scale. Instead of a 3-person, 2-week vehicle, this is a 4- to 6-person vehicle that may have to stay in space for up to 2 to 3 years as it goes on much longer flights beyond the moon, out to the asteroids, possibly even to Mars. They've done drop tests with the parachutes because this vehicle will either land in the ocean like Apollo did, or it may be able to land on land under parachutes but with very large airbag systems that will be underneath. But the tests today, or the tests in the last few weeks, have been on those parachute systems. They've also done drop tests of test capsules into water to prove out its ability to land in water, how stable it is, how safe it will be. So a lot of testing is going on, a lot of testing on the rocket systems are going on. So that's what's going on the Orion right now.
Very good. And of course, a nice little detailed model of Spirit and Rover.
Spirit and Opportunity. This is a model of the 2 Mars rovers that were landed on Mars in January 2004. They were designed for 3-month exploration missions.
Yeah.
Opportunity is now in its 99th month of operation.
Wow.
It's coming out of Mars wintertime hibernation. It's been parked for about 6 months or so. Winter on Mars is longer than winter on Earth. A Mars year is almost twice as long as an Earth year. And so that's where it's been, but it's parked on the side of a crater that's about 12 to 14 miles across. And so that's where it's been doing its most recent exploration.
Well, very good. All right, and you volunteer for this, or tell us a little bit more about it?
The JPL Solar System Ambassador Program is all volunteers. Each person does their own kind of space education. Mine is more towards public space education on the spacecraft side. You see, I have these models talking about this kind of stuff. I have another set of models where I allow the children to touch and play with them. They're toys that are made for their kind of skill level.
Right.
We have models of moon craters and Mars mountains. And over here I have a relief map of Mars that they can actually touch and feel and get an idea of what the surface of Mars
Excellent.
feels
and here is that map there. That's certainly good for kids. Yeah, hands-on.
Down and you
Mons,
can see
Olympus Mons.
Olympus Mons, the largest mountain. And then they can see 3 more volcanoes that are right on the same side of Mars. And Valles Marineris, this is a 3,000-mile long crack in Mars. At one time we thought maybe it was carved like the Grand Canyon by water, but now the thought is this side of Mars was extra hot, which created the volcanoes and caused the planet to actually lift up under the heat and crack open. And so that's what is now the leading theory on what that valley really is. It's a crack.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
So the kids can come along and
absolutely
get a better feel.
And it's pretty cool that we showed them last night through the telescopes Mars, and then they get that type of topographical
right now is a great time to look up at the night sky. We have Venus, Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn all in the night sky. And so when we look at Jupiter, we can see the cloud bands on Jupiter and 3 or 4 of its moons, depending on where the moons are around Jupiter. Venus, I think, is in about, getting close to full phase, so we can see the planet very bright. Mars, you can see the reddish color. Sometimes you can see the white polar caps, one with the other. And Saturn is really nice to look at because you can see the planet. We can see the rings around the planet, and often we can see 1 or 2 or 3 moons.
Yep, I believe Titan was visible last night. Yep. So yeah, we saw a lot of good stuff. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chuck, for doing what you do here as a NASA Solar System Ambassador and educating everyone. And thank you very much for letting us go ahead and do a brief little interview and getting some information from you.
We're having a good time today. Have a lot of guests for the astronomy party and just the local guests.
Absolutely. Great sight. Thank you.